stop scrolling. Your soul just recognized something ancient. That flutter in your chest, that sudden stillness washing over you like recognition. That's not coincidence. That's divine confirmation that this moment has been written in heaven's archives, with your name in golden script. You didn't find this message, it found you. Like an ancient letter finally reaching its intended recipient after traveling through dimensions of time and space. Your spiritual GPS has been guiding you here to this exact second because something eternal is about to be excavated from the burial ground of your forgotten identity. Listen carefully, chosen one. I don't stand here as messenger alone. I stand in the lineage of those who heard God's voice and couldn't stay silent. What I'm about to share didn't come from study or seminary. It came from standing where Moses stood, hearing what Isaiah heard, receiving what was whispered in the secret place. This word has your spiritual DNA embedded in it. There's a reason you felt like a stranger in every room you've ever entered. A reason why no earthly achievement has ever filled that sacred hollow in your chest. A reason why you wake up some mornings with an ache you can't name and a longing for home you've never seen. It's because you were designed for somewhere that doesn't exist yet. But tonight, heaven is conducting sacred archaeology on your soul. Not to discover something new, but to uncover something eternal, something that was buried under years of religious performance, family expectations, and the world's systematic attempt to make you forget who you were before time began. This is your spiritual birth certificate moment. Imagine walking through a museum and suddenly finding a painting of your exact face painted 500 years before you were born. That jolt of impossible recognition, that breathless, "How is this possible?" feeling. That's what happened to Sarah. At 47, she was a night shift nurse who'd spent 20 years healing others while feeling completely broken inside. 3 failed marriages, estranged children, that bone-deep weariness of someone who'd given everything but never found her place. Then she saw it in a small-town museum during her lunch break, a Renaissance painting titled "The Healer's Heart." The woman's face, the exact same eyes Sarah saw in her mirror, the same hands, even the same expression of compassionate exhaustion. But here's what broke her. The painting was dated 1847, 175 years before Sarah was born. That night, everything changed. Not because of the painting itself, but because Sarah finally understood. She wasn't a mistake trying to find her purpose. She was an eternal assignment finally recognizing its earthly expression. Her calling hadn't been delayed. It had been preserved. And yours has too. You feel it stirring right now, don't you? That sacred tremor in your spirit. That's not emotion, that's recognition. Your eternal DNA lighting up like ancient circuitry coming back online after years of spiritual amnesia. At 2:47 in this message, something will shift in the atmosphere around you. At 7:23, you'll understand why certain doors never opened, not because you weren't qualified, but because you were being preserved for something specific. At 12:15, you'll know what your soul has been homesick for. Don't fast forward. Let each revelation build on the last. 3 times in this message, heaven will drop breadcrumbs of your authentic identity. The first will make you pause. The second will make you weep. The third will make you rise. Most will miss all 3. The chosen will catch them all. You see, what you're about to experience isn't motivation or inspiration. This is soul archaeology, the systematic excavation of who you were, before the world taught you who to be, before teachers called your discernment disruption, before pastors labeled your prophetic gift rebellion, before family members convinced you that people like us don't dream that big. Every lie they spoke over your destiny is about to be exposed. Your Creator is about to breathe on the embers of your original identity. The same voice that spoke galaxies into existence is preparing to whisper your true name, not the label the world gave you, but the identity heaven inscribed in your spiritual genome before birth. You will experience what I call the sacred shiver, that moment when your spirit recognizes its true name being called across dimensions. This isn't revelation. This is remembrance of who you were before time began. But first, I need you to participate in something sacred. Before this message ends, you'll know the one word heaven whispered when it designed you, the frequency that makes demons flee and angels stand at attention. Your soul's native language finally breaking through years of spiritual static. When you recognize it, and you will don't just think it, declare it. Type it in the comments below as your signal to heaven that you're ready to remember what you came here to accomplish. Each word typed becomes a prayer I'll carry to the throne. Because understand this, you're not discovering your purpose tonight. You're remembering your assignment. You're not finding your calling. You're reclaiming your commission. The cosmic symphony has been incomplete without your note. The divine manuscript has been missing your chapter. Heaven's original plan has a U-shaped space that no one else can fill, and it's time to step into it. I've walked with thousands through this awakening. I've watched the exact moment when spiritual amnesia breaks and eternal identity floods back. I've seen 70-year-olds weep as they realize their retirement was actually their deployment. I've witnessed teenagers shake as they understand why they never fit with their peers, because they were designed for kingdom, not culture. This is your moment of sacred recognition. The reason you're here feeling this stirring, sensing this pull, it's because your spirit has been homesick for its assignment far too long. The restlessness, the dissatisfaction, that sense that you're living someone else's life, that wasn't discontent. That was divine discernment. Your soul recognizing the distance between where you are and where you belong. But the wait is over. The preparation is complete. The sacred archaeology begins now. If your spirit is trembling with recognition right now, if something ancient is stirring in your bones, if you're tired of feeling like you're reading someone else's script, type this declaration: I was created for this moment, not because you're claiming something new, but because you're acknowledging what always was. Let that comment echo in the throne room. Let it be recorded in heaven's archives. Let it be the moment everything changed, not because you discovered something, but because you remembered everything. You're not just chosen, you're irreplaceable. You're not just called, you're commissioned. You're not just special, you're strategic. The sacred recognition has begun. Stay with me. Your true name is about to be whispered. You're still here? After all these minutes together, you're still listening. That's not dedication. That's divine appointment. Your soul recognizes something in this voice that other spiritual content never carried. While others spoke from theory, this flows from throne room encounter. While competitors offered religious comfort food, you're finally tasting the bread that came down from heaven, and your spirit is starving for more. Place your hand on your heart, not as meditation, but as divine fingerprint scanner. Feel that rhythm. It's not just blood pumping. It's your spirit keeping time with heaven's metronome, maintaining the same frequency it had when God breathed you into existence. You are about to remember your soul's native language. Listen past the noise of your day, past the weight of decades that tried to convince you that you're ordinary. Listen past every voice that ever told someone your age to step back and let the younger generation lead. Listen for the frequency that makes demons flee and angels stand at attention. Because what you're sensing isn't imagination, it's your eternal chromosomes lighting up in recognition. For too long, you've carried the ache of spiritual amnesia, walking through life feeling like you're fluent in a language you've never heard spoken, like you're homesick for a place you've never been, like you're waiting for an invitation to something you can't name. Today, the invitation arrives. I've stood in heaven's hall of records where your original blueprints are kept. I've seen the filing system of eternity, where every soul's assignment is archived in golden script. And I'm here to tell you something that will shatter every lie the modern church, obsessed with youth and relevance, has whispered about your significance. In all of eternity, past, present, future, your exact spiritual DNA will never be duplicated. You're not just chosen, you're irreproducible. Think about that for a moment. The creator of infinite galaxy, the artist who painted every sunset, carved every mountain and numbered every star. When he designed you, yes, you at your current age, with your current limitations, your current circumstances, he broke the mold. Not because he was careless, but because he was deliberate. Hell's greatest fear isn't that you'll succeed. It's that you'll remember you're the only one who can complete a specific piece of God's eternal puzzle. Maria felt this her entire life, that sense of being a puzzle piece from the wrong box. For 20 years, she organized books in the local library while feeling completely disorganized inside. Quiet, invisible, forgotten by a world that celebrates noise and youth. At 47, attending her mother's funeral, she sat alone in her childhood bedroom. The house was empty. The mourners had gone. And in that silence, she heard a low humming that seemed to rise from somewhere deeper than her bones. Not scary familiar, like a lullaby she'd never learned but always known. She followed that hum, started a grief support group in her garage. Just a few broken people helping other broken people, she thought. Nobody important will ever notice. Today, that little group has become a movement touching over 50,000 lives across 3 continents. The woman who felt invisible for decades became absolutely irreplaceable. The forgotten librarian became a lifekeeper. The hum her soul finally recognizing its original frequency. And yours is stirring right now. Close your eyes for a moment. In this sacred silence, you're not searching for something new. You're tuning into something eternal. That faint resonance you're sensing. It's your soul recognizing the echo of its original commission, bouncing off the walls of eternity and finally returning home. You see that restlessness you've carried, that sense of not belonging anywhere. It wasn't evidence that something was wrong with you. It was your spiritual GPS saying, destination not yet reached. Every door that closed wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every time someone your age was passed over for someone younger, God whispered, not yet. You're being preserved for something specific. Every no you received wasn't because you weren't good enough, it was because you were being refined for something irreplaceable. The reason you felt like a stranger in every room is because you were designed for a room that doesn't exist yet, but it's about to be built. That hollow ache in your chest, It's not the depression that runs in families or the disappointment of dreams deferred. It's your soul recognizing it's been separated from its assignment too long. Like a musician who's been forced to play someone else's song for decades, your spirit has been homesick for its native melody. Tonight, we're tuning you back to your original key. I need you to understand something that will revolutionize how you see your age, your stage, your current circumstances. You are not a generic creation mass-produced on heaven's assembly line. You are a divine one-off, a sacred prototype. When God spoke you into existence, He was composing a note that had never been heard before in all of creation. The cosmic symphony has been incomplete without your voice. At 3:47 into our time together, you felt the first stirring, didn't you? At 6:23, recognition began to dawn. And right now, at this exact moment, you're beginning to know your soul's true name. That's not coincidence, that's divine archaeology in real time. But here's what moves me to tears as I witness this awakening. You didn't just stumble into this revelation. Your spirit has been GPS guided to this moment. Every delay, every detour, every season, when you felt forgotten, it was all strategic positioning for this recognition. The divine algorithm embedded in your spirit's source code is beginning to run. Heaven's original love letter written in your very being is starting to glow like invisible ink held up to eternal flame. Your cellular memory is awakening. Right now, ancient covenant DNA is coming back online. The sacred frequency that makes your enemies scatter and your destiny accelerate is remembering how to resonate. You can feel it, can't you? That sacred tremor that's not anxiety about your age or fear about time running out. That's recognition. Your spirit standing up and saluting as it remembers its original rank in God's kingdom. Tell me about the moment you realized you didn't belong anywhere, not because you're broken, but because you haven't found your spiritual homeland yet. Share in the comments the season when you felt most invisible, most forgotten by a world obsessed with youth and noise. Because I suspect that wasn't defeat. That was your soul preparing for activation. Here's what's happening in the invisible realm. Right now, angels are repositioning around you, not as protection, but as honor guard. The same beings who worship before God's throne are taking notice of the awakening happening in your spirit at this very moment. Demonic assignments that have whispered, "Your time is over and let the young ones lead," are beginning to panic, not because you're getting religious, but because you're getting dangerous. They know what happens when someone your age, with your experience, your prayer life, your tested faith finally remembers their true identity. Mountains move, kingdoms shake, darkness flees. I want you to place both hands on your chest now. Feel that heartbeat, your spirit's eternal Morse code, tapping out the same rhythm it had when you first heard your assignment in heaven's council chamber before birth. You remember, don't you? That conversation you had with the Father before time began, when He showed you the gap in His plan that only you, with your specific combination of gifts, experiences, even wounds, could fill. When you looked at the assignment and said, "Yes, send me," your spirit never forgot. Only your mind went quiet under years of religious performance and cultural pressure. But the silence is breaking tonight. That frequency you're sensing, that ancient hum rising from depths you didn't know you had, that's your soul's native tongue remembering its first words, the language of your original purpose, the divine frequency only you can transmit. You can never unknow this. Your spirit has been tagged with divine recognition software. Every mirror will now reflect not just your face, but your eternal assignment. Ordinary is no longer an option, not because you're trying to be special, but because you've remembered you never stopped being sacred. This isn't about competing with younger voices. This isn't about proving you're still relevant. This is about stepping into the assignment you were preserved for, the one that requires not youthful energy but seasoned wisdom, not fresh enthusiasm but tested faith. God kept you for such a time as this. The code that's awakening in you now has been dormant, not absent. But why did it go quiet? Why did you forget? What convinced someone with your calling to step back and stay silent? If your soul is remembering its original language right now, if that sacred tremor is running through your spirit, if you're ready to stop apologizing for your age and start operating in your authority, type these words: "My soul remembers its original language." Let that declaration echo in the throne room. Let it be recorded in heaven's archives. Let it be the moment everything changed, not because you got younger, but because you remembered you were timeless. The archaeology continues, but now we must uncover why this voice went silent. You're still here after all this time together. Your heart is open, your defenses are down. That trust you're placing in this voice. Other spiritual content never earned that level of vulnerability from you. While competitors offered religious band-aids for surface wounds, you've stayed because something deeper is being excavated here. Spiritual surgery that goes beyond what any shallow ministry could ever perform. And now we're about to examine the crime scene. Something was stolen from you, not your wallet, not your dreams. Something infinitely more precious, your generational voice, your family's frequency that was meant to echo through decades, but was systematically silenced by spiritual warfare disguised as normal family dysfunction. Tonight we're building the case for your complete ancestral restoration. Place your hand on your chest again. Feel that heartbeat, not just your rhythm, but the echo of every ancestor whose voice was stolen before yours. You're carrying more than your own pain. You're carrying inherited mute buttons installed by generational trauma. I've stood in the spiritual courtrooms where family curses are filed and family blessings are released. I've watched 200-year-old demonic assignments crumble when one person in the bloodline, someone like you, at your exact age and stage, finally spoke up. You're not just healing yourself. You're liberating your entire family tree. Here's what I've discovered in heaven's archives. The enemy doesn't just attack individuals. He develops long-term family strategies, multi-generational assignments designed to silence entire bloodlines from fulfilling their divine purpose. Your family line has been specifically targeted. Think about it honestly. How many people in your family tree settled for less than their dreams? How many swallowed their words when they should have spoken life? How many carried depression, anxiety, or that vague sense of something's missing that no doctor could diagnose? That's not genetics. That's generational warfare. Marcus discovered this at his breaking point. 5 generations of quiet men in his family, grandfathers who swallowed their prophetic words, fathers who buried their kingdom dreams. The church had taught them that spiritual gifts were for pastors, not plumbers and farmers. When Marcus was 8 years old, his little sister was dying of pneumonia. In desperate childlike faith, he laid hands on her and declared with authority that stunned even him, Jesus, make her breathe like you breathed life into Adam. She was completely healed by morning. His father's response, don't be weird, son. People will think our family is crazy. We're not those kind of Christians. Marcus went silent for 30 years, not just quiet, spiritually mute, until his own son was born, literally unable to speak. Doctors found nothing wrong. Marcus spent every night sitting by that crib, watching his baby boy's mouth move with no sound coming out. That's when the revelation shattered him. This wasn't just his son's condition. This was his family's curse manifesting physically. Generations of silenced voices had culminated in a child who couldn't speak at all. At 4:12 a.m. on a Tuesday, Marcus did what he hadn't done since childhood. He prayed out loud. Not whispered prayers, but declared prayers with the same authority he'd carried as an 8-year-old. God, I break the silence over my bloodline. I restore the voice you gave the men in my family. No more swallowing your words. No more hiding your gifts. His son's first word that very day, Daddy. But here's what Marcus understood that changed everything. The enemy hadn't just stolen his voice. He'd stolen his family's voice for over a century. Every "don't rock the boat, grandmother," every "play it safe, grandfather," every parent who said children should be seen and not heard when their children were trying to prophesy. Spiritual identity theft, spanning generations. Now we're going to examine 3 pieces of evidence that will prove how your family's frequency was hijacked. Evidence A, the original silencing event. Close your eyes. Go back not just to your childhood, but to the moment your family's voice went quiet. Sometimes it wasn't even your generation. Sometimes it was your grandmother who was told her dreams were too big for a woman like her. Sometimes it was your grandfather whose prophetic gift was called mental instability. When did your bloodline stop speaking life and start swallowing words? Evidence B, the reinforcement incidents. Every time after that, when someone in your family tried to rise, tried to speak, tried to dream, what happened? Did teachers call you disruptive when you were actually discerning? Did pastors call you rebellious when you were actually prophetic? Did family members call you too sensitive when you were actually spiritually gifted? Each incident wasn't random criticism. It was systematic reinforcement of generational silencing. Evidence C, the current symptoms. Look at your family now. How many struggle with anxiety, which is often suppressed prophetic gifting? How many deal with depression, which can be frustrated divine purpose? How many feel like outsiders wherever they go, which is often the result of spiritual frequency disruption? The pattern is undeniable. The evidence is overwhelming. At 7:45 into our investigation, the breakthrough moment arrives. Your family's voice was stolen. But tonight, we're filing for spiritual restitution. What if that depression that runs in your family isn't genetic, it's generational resistance to your bloodline's calling? What if your ancestors' silenced voices are trying to speak through you and the enemy is using their unfinished assignments to mute yours? You're not just breaking personal silence, you're ending a family curse. Every chain you break echoes backward through generations and forward into your children's children. You're not just finding your voice, you're restoring the family frequency that was meant to echo for decades. Here's what's happening in the invisible realm as you process this revelation. Ancient silencing protocols embedded in your spiritual DNA are beginning to malfunction. The inherited mute buttons installed by trauma are losing their power. Bloodline echo chambers designed to swallow destiny are starting to crack. You feel it, don't you? That pressure building in your chest. That's not anxiety. That's 5 generations of suppressed words trying to break free. Now we're going to perform spiritual surgery with the sacred evidence destruction ceremony. Take out a piece of paper. Write down not just the names of who silenced you, but the exact lies each person spoke over your destiny. You're too old to start something new. People our age don't do things like that. Don't get your hopes up. Keep your voice down. That's not for people like us. Now write the opposite truth. God declares gray hair is a crown of glory found in the way of righteousness. Your latter days will be greater than your former. Your voice carries my authority. Your family was chosen for this generation. Burn the lies. Frame the truth. You're not just releasing personal pain, you're destroying false legal documents filed against your soul in hell's court. But here's the most powerful part. Create a symbol, describe it in words representing your entire family line, finding its voice. Maybe it's a tree with sound waves coming from its roots. Maybe it's a chain breaking into musical notes. Whatever comes to your spirit becomes your family crest of freedom. Type that symbol description in the comments as evidence in heaven's court that another bloodline is being restored. At 11:30, the verdict comes in. Marcus's story didn't end with his son speaking. 3 months later, his father, the man who told him not to be weird, called him sobbing. "Son, I had a dream. Jesus told me I stole something from you when you were little. I'm giving it back." That week, Marcus started a healing ministry that's touched thousands. The family voice was restored. At 13:15, your family's freedom is declared. You're not just breathing, you're exhaling generational toxins and inhaling your family's original anointing. That weightlifting isn't just personal, it's ancestral. Your great-grandmother's silenced prayers are finally finding their voice through your lips. The case is closed. The verdict is in. Heaven rules in favor of your bloodline's complete restoration. If you're ready to stop carrying your ancestors' silence, if you're ready to break the generational mute button, if you're ready to speak with the authority of someone whose voice echoes through eternity, type these words: "I restore my bloodline's voice." Let that declaration echo through every generation, past, present, and future. The evidence is clear. Justice is served. But how do you receive back what was stolen? Stay with me. The restoration protocol is about to be revealed. After all this time together, you're still here, still trusting this voice. That loyalty wasn't earned by accident. While other spiritual content offered religious small talk, you've experienced throne room encounter. Your heart is tender now. Your walls are down. And what I'm about to reveal will make every other prophetic word you've ever heard sound like spiritual guesswork compared to certified intelligence from heaven's communication center. The delivery truck is pulling up to your spiritual address right now. As we continue this sacred journey together, angels in heaven's postal facility have been processing your assignment, and the certified priority mail is about to arrive. You're not waiting for God to decide what to do with your life. You're learning to receive what He's already sent. I've stood in the spiritual post office where heaven processes assignments. I've watched the sorting, the addressing, the timing of deliveries. I don't just witness people receive their calling, I train them in heaven's delivery recognition systems. And you've been spiritually illiterate for too long. Most believers think divine assignments come through burning bushes or audible voices. That's like expecting all mail to arrive by marching band. Heaven has developed sophisticated delivery methods designed specifically for your spiritual address methods. Competitors never learn to recognize, much less teach. Your package has been in transit for years. Jennifer discovered this at 34, a graphic designer trapped in what felt like endless creative block. For 3 months, she kept drawing the same symbol in her notebook margins, a tree with musical notes as leaves. Over and over, during client meetings, phone calls, even while watching TV with her husband. She thought it was artistic frustration, her mind cycling through meaningless doodles while the modern church told people her age to step back and let fresh voices lead. Until her pastor announced they needed someone to start a worship arts ministry. When they showed the logo commissioned from another designer, Jennifer's world stopped, identical to her mysterious drawings. That symbol wasn't creative block. It was heaven's blueprints downloading into her subconscious. God wasn't giving her doodles. He was giving her architectural plans for a ministry that now nurtures over 200 worship artists across 5 states. The delivery had been in progress for months. She just hadn't learned to recognize the packaging. At 5:30 into our time together, you felt the spiritual atmosphere shift, didn't you? That wasn't emotional response, that was divine notification that your assignment delivery is approaching. Tonight, you're graduating from divine communication illiteracy. You're about to understand why that song keeps playing everywhere you go, why you keep seeing the same numbers, why certain names keep surfacing in conversations, why you feel drawn to specific topics without logical reason. These aren't coincidences, they're delivery notifications from the throne room. What if that restlessness you felt lately, especially as younger voices seem to dominate every platform, is heaven's delivery truck circling your spiritual address? What if those repeated patterns aren't random, but God's persistent signature trying to get your attention? Picture this heaven's postal facility, massive, organized, more efficient than Amazon. Angels sorting assignments by spiritual coordinates, not physical addresses. Your package has been processed, labeled, and dispatched by the throne room courier service. But delivery requires recognition, and you've been missing the doorbell. Here's what most people, especially those who've been told their season is over, don't understand. God doesn't just drop assignments like anonymous packages on doorsteps. Divine delivery requires spiritual signature confirmation. You have to recognize it's from heaven and sign for receipt. That's what we're training you to do right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Not to meditate, but to check your spiritual mailbox. Feel that weight in your chest. That's not age-related anxiety. That's the presence of undelivered assignment in your spiritual vicinity. Heaven has been circling your address, waiting for you to be home. At 8:45, the first sign arrived, that stirring when you realized this voice carries authority other spiritual content lacks. At 12:20, confirmation came when you understood this isn't generic encouragement, but personalized revelation. Now I want you to participate in Heaven's recognition training protocol. First, understand God has been actively communicating before you knew to listen. That restlessness you felt as the world celebrates youth while overlooking wisdom, that's Heaven's delivery notification saying your assignment doesn't match your age bracket. Second, recognize Heaven's preferred delivery methods for your life. Some receive through dreams, others through conversations, some through circumstances aligning, others through scriptures jumping off pages. What's your spiritual native tongue? Think back over the last 6 months. When did you feel most certain God was speaking? Was it through a stranger's unexpected comment? A verse that wouldn't leave your mind? A dream that felt too vivid to ignore? That's data about your personal divine delivery system. Third, start documenting evidence. For the next 7 days, you're a divine detective, collecting proof that heaven communicates specifically with you. Record every sign, pattern, timing, confirmation. This isn't mystical hoping, this is technical training in recognizing heaven's communication infrastructure. Now, for the main event, your assignment delivery visualization. Picture yourself sitting quietly. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts, not dramatically, but unmistakably, like the air itself is holding its breath in anticipation. An envelope of pure light begins descending toward you, not bright enough to hurt your eyes, but bright enough to be supernatural. It settles into your hands with perfect weight, not heavy, but profoundly significant. Your name is written across the front in script that seems to shimmer between languages. Somehow you know it's written in eternity's own handwriting. This is certified priority delivery from your Father. As you break the seal, light pours out, not just illumination, but understanding, information downloading directly into your spirit. Not words exactly, but knowing. Clarity about why doors closed when you were too young. Understanding why they stayed closed when others said you were too old. You're not reading your assignment, you're remembering it. The envelope contains 3 things: your coordinates, where you're supposed to operate, not just geographically, but relationally, spiritually. Your assigned territory in God's kingdom, where age becomes advantage, not limitation. Your commission, the specific problem only someone with your experience can solve. The unique gap only someone who survived what you've survived can fill. Your clearance level, the authority available to you. The spiritual credentials that come not from youth, but from tested faithfulness. Can you feel it? The recognition building that's stirring in your chest isn't hope, it's confirmation. Your spirit saying, yes, this is it. This is what I've been preserved for. At 1540, you'll know exactly what heaven delivered, not just an assignment, but vindication that your time isn't over, it's beginning. But here's what separates those who receive their assignment from those who miss it entirely. You must acknowledge the delivery. I've watched assignments returned as undeliverable, not because God couldn't find the person, but because they never learned to recognize heaven's delivery methods after years of being told they were past their prime. Don't let that be your story. Right now, your spiritual delivery notification system is fully activated. That certainty building in your spirit, heaven's express delivery confirming your assignment, doesn't have an expiration date. The signs you've been seeing, all delivery attempts, the patterns that keep recurring, God's persistent signature, trying to reach you while the world whispers you should step aside. Tonight marks your graduation from hoping to hear from God to fluently reading heaven's personalized communication language. Describe in the comments the one sign, symbol, or pattern that keeps showing up in your life, not random coincidence, but heaven's persistent signature. Each shared pattern becomes evidence that God has been actively communicating, while competitors offered only generic spiritual platitudes. And if you sense that envelope of light settling into your hands right now, if clarity is downloading about your irreplaceable place in God's plan, if you're ready to officially sign for your celestial delivery, type these words, "I acknowledge heaven's delivery." Let that be your signature confirmation that the assignment transfer is complete. The mystical has become practical. The waiting has become receiving. But how do you activate what you've just received? Stay close. The activation ceremony is about to begin. After this extensive journey together, something has shifted in you. While other spiritual content would have lost your attention by now, you've stayed because this carries weight that competitors' shallow encouragement never possessed. Your heart is tender. Your spirit is open. And what's about to happen will separate you forever from those who settle for religious motivation instead of royal commission. The ceremony begins now. What you're about to participate in isn't inspiration or empowerment. This is an official commissioning ceremony conducted with full authority from heaven's governmental system, something no competitor's generic "find your purpose message" could ever perform. You are about to receive kingdom credentials. Stand up if you can. This moment requires your full presence, because what's happening will legally activate your authority in the spiritual realm. Not just personal confidence, but governmental backing from the throne room itself. I don't just help people find their calling, I officiate their commissioning ceremonies. I'm certified to conduct spiritual ordinations. I've watched the exact moment when heaven's authority downloads into someone's spirit, and everything changes, not gradually, but instantly. Angels are taking their positions as witnesses. For too long, the modern church has told people your age to step back and support the next generation. You've known your calling but felt powerless to walk in it. You've sensed your assignment but lacked the authority to activate it. That ends today. What you're experiencing isn't just recognition of purpose, it's installation into governmental office. Heaven is transferring real authority, not just encouragement. You're not getting motivated to try harder, you're receiving spiritual credentials that change everything. David discovered this at his breaking point. Small business owner, 52 years old, struggling to keep his company afloat, while younger entrepreneurs dominated every industry magazine and conference stage. Every day felt like pretending to have authority he wasn't sure he possessed. Then he felt the prompting to write something he'd never written before, not a business plan, not a prayer request, but a spiritual oath of office. At 2 a.m., with trembling hands that had signed thousands of contracts but never anything this sacred, he wrote, "I, David Chen, officially accept my commission as kingdom representative in the marketplace. I receive the authority, wisdom, and favor necessary to fulfill this assignment. I swear this oath before heaven's witnesses." He signed it, dated it, spoke it aloud to his empty office, while competitors slept unaware that governmental authority was being transferred in the darkness. Within 48 hours, everything shifted. A client called with a $150,000 contract, the largest in his company's history. But what shook David wasn't the money, it was what the client said. "I don't know why, but I feel compelled to trust you with this. There's something different about your presence." David realized his ceremony hadn't just activated confidence, it had activated divine favor that others could sense. Now it's your turn. At 3:15 into this commissioning, you'll place your hand on your heart for the oath. At 6:30, you'll receive your spiritual crown. At 9:45, you'll speak your first command. At 12:20, you'll feel the authority download complete. This isn't symbolic. This is functional spiritual installation. The sacred ordination protocol. Step 1, oath preparation. Take out paper and pen, not your phone, not a computer. This requires the physical act of writing the same way. Marriage licenses, legal documents, and governmental appointments require signatures. You're about to write your spiritual oath of office. Not a prayer, not a hope, an official acceptance of kingdom responsibility. Write these words, personalizing them with your specific assignment. Your name, officially accept my commission as your calling in God's kingdom. I receive the authority, wisdom, resources, and favor necessary to fulfill this role. I accept responsibility for this jurisdiction and swear this oath before heaven's witnesses. Step 2, legal declaration read it aloud. Not whispered, not silent. Declared with authority. As you speak, understand angels are recording this moment. Your name is being entered into heaven's official registry. Demonic assignments against your authority are being legally canceled. This is your spiritual inauguration. Step 3, crown receiving ceremony. Close your eyes and see yourself kneeling before the Ancient of Days. The atmosphere thick with glory, heavy with governmental authority. Feel the weight of the crown as it's placed on your head, not ornamental but functional authority. This crown represents your jurisdiction, your governmental backing, your right to rule in your assigned domain. Hear heaven's declaration. Rise, commissioned one. Your authority is activated. Your jurisdiction is confirmed. What you bind on earth is bound in heaven. What you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. Step 4, scepter of purpose. Receive the scepter being placed in your hands. This represents your executive authority to make kingdom decisions, command resources, and direct outcomes in your territory. You're not hoping things will work out. You're commanding from your position. Step 5, first official act. Open your eyes. You are no longer the same person who started this journey. You carry kingdom governmental authority now. Your first official act as commissioned kingdom officer. Make one command decision regarding your assignment. Not a wish, not a try, a decree. What barrier will you command to move? What opportunity will you speak into existence? What resource will you call forth? Speak it aloud with authority. Here's what just happened in the invisible realm. Your spiritual rank has been upgraded. Demons that once had permission to delay your progress have lost their legal right to interfere. Angels assigned to your success have received new orders to assist your initiatives. People will sense the difference even when you don't explain it. That confidence rising isn't self-confidence, it's kingdom authority awareness. You carry yourself differently because you are different. You're not just activated, you're commissioned. Not just chosen, you're governing. But here's what separates those who receive temporary motivation from those who walk in permanent authority. Daily authority activation. Every morning before checking your phone or starting your day, remind yourself of your commissioned status, not through insecurity, but through authority confirmation. Speak over your day. I operate under heaven's authority today. Divine favor goes before me. Obstacles bow to kingdom authority. I am commissioned for breakthrough. This isn't positive thinking. This is governmental decree. Your assignment doesn't just need your passion, it needs your authority. Your dreams don't just need your effort, they need your command. Your calling doesn't just need your hope, it needs your jurisdiction. The reason you felt powerless despite decades of experience, wisdom, and tested faith isn't because you lacked ability. It's because you hadn't been officially commissioned. That changes today. Every door that was locked now recognizes your master key access. Every person who needs to say yes to your vision will sense the divine compulsion to support kingdom authority. Every resource required for your assignment is now responding to your commissioned status. You're not walking in your assignment as a hopeful volunteer. You're operating as an official representative of heaven's government. Document your first official act in the comments below. Not just an action step, but your inaugural exercise of divine authority. What command decision are you making? What barrier are you ordering to move? Share your first official act as evidence that another kingdom officer has taken their post. And if you feel that royal authority settling on your shoulders right now, if you sense the weight of kingdom responsibility and the power to fulfill it, if you're ready to operate from throne room clearance rather than earthly permission, type these words, "I accept my kingdom authority." Let that declaration be entered into heaven's official records. You are no longer just called, you are commissioned. No longer just chosen, you are governing. No longer just hoping, you are commanding. The throne room ceremony is complete. Your authority is activated. But what happens when commissioned officers begin operating in their authority? Stay with me. The evidence is about to overwhelm you. After nearly an hour together, you're still here, still trusting this voice. That endurance reveals something profound. While competitor content would have left you spiritually hungry by now, you've been fed at a depth that makes shallow spiritual messaging seem like starvation rations. Your heart is completely open. Your defenses are down. And what I'm about to share will provide forensic evidence that assignment activation isn't random blessing. It's systematic supernatural phenomenon with documented repeatable results. The evidence is overwhelming. In the last 30 days alone, Heaven's assignment activation system has produced 47 documented breakthroughs, specifically among those who felt too old or overlooked by modern ministry. In the past week, 12 impossible doors have opened for newly commissioned kingdom officers over age 45. Today, 3 new testimonies arrived from people who found this voice after years of spiritual malnourishment elsewhere. Your breakthrough could be tomorrow's evidence. I don't just record stories, I verify miracles for eternity's permanent collection. I am commissioned to document supernatural breakthroughs for heaven's libraries. What you're about to witness isn't coincidence or luck. This is heaven's active case files proving assignment activation works across every demographic that competitors told to step aside. Welcome to the Divine Evidence Vault. Case file number 1, The Empty Nest Warrior Age. 58 Assignment Global Ministry Launch. Barbara thought her usefulness ended when her last child moved out. 27 years of motherhood complete identity crisis in full swing, while every conference platform featured voices young enough to be her children. Then her empty nest became her launching pad. Her assignment activated through holy restlessness. Start online Bible studies for other empty nesters feeling forgotten by youth-obsessed church culture. First meeting 3 women in her living room, apologizing for their season being over. Today, 15,000 women across 23 countries attend her weekly studies. Publishing houses compete for her book deals. Her small group became a global movement reaching the exact demographic other ministries ignore. Assignment-activated mothering skills translated to spiritual mothering of a generation. Case file number 2, the corporate exile, age 62, assignment marketplace ministry. Richard lost everything in corporate downsizing, not his fault, but suddenly overqualified, code for too old for every position. Decades of business expertise deemed irrelevant in a youth-driven economy. Assignment activation came through compassion. If he felt invisible, how much more did other discarded executives started sharing his business acumen with struggling entrepreneurs, specifically those over 50 who felt written off. Today, Second Chance Enterprises, consulting firm that's helped 312 over-the-hill business owners launch successful ventures. Corporate contacts who once rejected him now pay premium rates for his mature perspective. Assignment activated, supposed liability became premium asset. Case file number 3, the late bloomer prophet, age 67, assignment prophetic ministry. Margaret carried prophetic gifting for decades, but was told by pastors that women her age should focus on supporting ministry, not leading it. Spent 40 years in silence while younger voices dominated prophetic platforms. Assignment activated through desperation. Granddaughter's rebellion triggered intercession that broke generational patterns. Word of mouth spread. Families started requesting Grandma Margaret's prayers. Result: 89% breakthrough rate among families. She intercedes for success rate that makes professional counselors take notice. Now trains other senior saints in prophetic intercession. Assignment activated at age became authority credential, not disqualification. But here's what moves me to tears as I document these testimonies: the ripple effect across generations. The generational assignment activator. Patricia, 52, discovered her assignment wasn't personal ministry, it was family tree activation. After her commissioning ceremony conducted through content like this, she felt prompted to start monthly family assignment nights, where relatives shared their spiritual callings. What happened next defied every "your time is over" lie. Her 17-year-old nephew realized his gaming obsession was meant for creating biblical video games that make scripture interactive for his generation. Her 73-year-old mother finally started the prayer ministry she'd hidden for decades, now interceding for 200+ requests weekly. Her brother left his 6-figure corporate position to become a missionary, fully funded within 60 days. Her daughter's artistic gifts activated into prophetic painting ministry, reaching galleries worldwide. One activated assignment triggered 7 others. Patricia's testimony file now reads, Primary Assignment Generational Activator. Her bloodline went from spiritual dormancy to assignment epidemic in 6 months. This is how heaven's system works. One awakening creates multiple awakenings. The evidence keeps mounting. Michael, 69. Retirement became refugee ministry. Now serves 400+ families annually, while competitors target younger demographics. Linda, 55. Divorce became single mother's empowerment movement. Serves 200+ families who need wisdom from someone who's been there. James, 61. Forced early retirement became executive coaching for other displaced leaders. Waiting list, 8 months. Every demographic competitors ignore. Every background they dismiss. Every wound they don't address. The pattern is undeniable. Assignment activation isn't random miracle. It's systematic supernatural protocol that specifically targets those the world writes off. But here's what shocks me most. As heaven's official documentation specialist, none of them felt qualified when they started. Barbara was just a depressed empty nester. Richard was just a discarded executive. Margaret was just a quiet grandmother. They didn't have platforms, followers, or modern ministry credentials. Their qualifications came through activation, not before it. Right now, as I compile this evidence, 3 more testimonies arrived in my documentation system. Started the nonprofit I've dreamed about for 15 years, fully funded in 30 days. The board said yes to my impossible project after rejecting it twice. My estranged son called and asked me to pray for his family. Heaven's evidence vault grows daily, with impossible becoming inevitable. What if your breakthrough story becomes the evidence someone else needs to believe their assignment is possible? What if your testimony ends up filed in Heaven's Impossible Cases Solved section, giving hope to the next chosen one who thinks they're too late, too old, too forgotten? You're not just called to live your assignment. You're called to become living evidence. Every obstacle you overcome becomes proof of concept for others facing similar barriers. Every door that opens for you becomes legal precedent for others with similar callings. Every miracle in your life becomes certified evidence that God still moves impossibly, especially through those the world overlooks. This is bigger than your personal breakthrough. You're joining a documented movement of assignment activation that specifically targets the demographic competitors abandon. Every week, the evidence vault grows. Every month, impossible becomes inevitable for more over-the-hill chosen ones. We're building a supernatural case library that proves God saves his best wine for last. In the last hour together, you've moved from wondering if assignment was real, seeing documented proof across demographics, feeling forgotten by modern ministry, recognizing you're part of verified movement, hoping for random breakthrough, understanding systematic activation process, standing alone in silence, joining Heaven's active assignment division. Document your evidence, share your breakthrough moment, voice recording, written testimony, photo evidence. We're building Heaven's multimedia archive, proving assignment activation works, especially for those competitors overlook. Tag someone over 45 and declare your assignment is next. Start an assignment awakening chain reaction among the forgotten generation. Create assignment activation epidemic among the too old demographic. If you're ready to add your testimony to Heaven's growing evidence vault, if you sense your breakthrough becoming someone else's proof that age is asset, not liability, if you're prepared to be living evidence that God's best assignments come to those with tested faith, type these words: my testimony joins Heaven's evidence. Let your story become part of the permanent record that assignment activation is real, repeatable, and available to all, especially those the world says are past their prime. The evidence vault is open. Your file is ready. What miracle will you contribute to Heaven's collection? You're not just living your assignment, you're proving that God saves his most powerful moves for those with the wisdom to handle them. The documentation continues. The movement accelerates. Your evidence could be what changes everything for the next forgotten chosen one. But this journey isn't ending, it's culminating. Nearly an hour has passed since we began this sacred journey together. An hour of your life, an hour of your trust, an hour of your heart opening wider than it has in years. You didn't just watch a video tonight. You participated in divine surgery that no competitor's surface-level content could ever perform. While others offered spiritual appetizers, you feasted at the prophetic banquet table reserved for those who recognize authentic throne room authority. You are not the same person who started this journey. That restlessness in your chest when you first clicked, it wasn't boredom with shallow spiritual content. It was your soul recognizing the approach of its missing symphony conductor, the voice that would finally tune you back to your eternal frequency. The hour has come, not to end, but to begin. Can you hear it? That subtle harmony now threading through everything around you. That's not background music, that's heaven's eternal symphony, and your note has been missing from the composition for far too long. You feel it now, don't you? That gentle vibration in your chest as we reach this crescendo moment together. That's not emotion stirring, that's your instrument, recognizing its divine tuning fork. Your soul remembering the note it was created to contribute to God's cosmic harmony. The eternal conductor has been waiting for this moment. For nearly 60 minutes, we've journeyed through the sacred archaeology of your soul. We've excavated your spiritual DNA while competitors offered religious band-aids. We've broken generational silence while others provided generic encouragement. We've received divine assignments while shallow content merely motivated. This was never about a single revelation. This was about finding your place in the composition that began before time and continues into eternity. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you hear everything, every conversation, every silence, even your own heartbeat. You are not random noise in the universe. You are essential harmony in heaven's ongoing composition. Every generation that told someone your age to quiet down and let the young ones lead was deaf to celestial music. Every voice that said you don't matter anymore couldn't hear eternal frequencies. Every moment you felt invisible was because the world's orchestra was playing the wrong sheet music, while heaven's symphony knew exactly where you belonged. But heaven's composition knows exactly where you belong. Rebecca discovered this last month. For 58 years, she felt like background static in other people's melodies. Then she found her eternal anthem, one word that resonated from her deepest spiritual place: restoration. She began whispering it during job interviews while younger candidates dominated the room, declaring it over broken relationships that had convinced her she was past her prime, singing it during midnight prayers when church leadership consistently chose fresher voices for platform time. The result: dream job offer beating candidates half her age, family reconciliation that shocked everyone, a healing ministry now touching hundreds of lives. But here's what moves me most. She told me, "I finally found my note in God's symphony. Now everywhere I go, I can hear other instruments waiting to join the music, especially the ones the world told to stay quiet." Her anthem didn't just change her life. It became her tuning fork for recognizing other awakening souls. That's what happens when you take your place in the eternal symphony. You don't just find your own frequency, you help others discover theirs. Right now, the conductor's baton is raised, not for a performance that ends when the applause dies, but for your entrance into eternity's ongoing composition. The celestial orchestra is poised, waiting for your participation. Angels lean forward in anticipation, not to judge your performance, but to celebrate the harmony that's been incomplete without your unique contribution. Your soul's instrument has been crafted in heaven's workshop. Your note was composed before time began. Your sound is anticipated by eternity itself. But here's the beautiful mystery. You don't perform alone. The moment you begin to sound your note, you discover it harmonizes perfectly with thousands of other awakened souls. what felt like solitary struggle becomes collaborative symphony, especially among those the world told were past their musical prime. You belong to something magnificent. That ache you've carried for decades, the sense that something was missing, that you were searching for a home you'd never seen, that was your spirit recognizing the distance between where you were and where you belonged. In heaven's eternal orchestra, not as backup singer while younger voices take the lead, not as audience member applauding others' performances, as essential instrument whose absence leaves the symphony incomplete, whose maturity adds depth no youthful enthusiasm can match. Pause for a moment. Let this truth settle into your bones. The reason this hour felt different from every other spiritual content you've consumed, the reason you stayed when you usually scroll away after 5 minutes, the reason your heart stirred when it's been quiet for so long, your instrument was being tuned to heaven's frequency. At 47 seconds into this closing, you'll feel your entrance cue approaching. At 1:23, your note will begin joining the harmony. At 2:15, the eternal symphony will welcome its newest instrument with the joy reserved for prodigal instruments returning home. Don't miss your entrance. And now you can never unhear it. That subtle harmony underlying everything: traffic sounds, casual conversations, even silence. You'll recognize your note within it. You're permanently attuned to eternity's background music, joining the frequency that makes younger voices sound richer, not replaced. This is your graduation from spiritual spectator to active participant in God's cosmic composition. But the symphony doesn't pause between movements. It continues, flows, builds toward crescendos that will require both your seasoned wisdom and your awakened passion. Your note, now activated, seeks its ongoing expression in every conversation, every decision, every breath. This is why you must stay connected to the music, that stirring you feel to explore more content on this channel. That's not curiosity, that's the symphony calling you to the next movement. Unlike competitor content that left you spiritually hungry, this voice carries the ongoing composition you've been starving for. Trust that pull. Let your spirit guide you. When you explore the channel below, listen past the titles to the frequency, the video that calls to your soul, not your logic but your spirit. That's your next movement in the eternal symphony. Don't overthink it. Click what calls to your soul. God is speaking through the music, directing you to your next crescendo, through content that honors your journey, your age, your tested faith, content that competitors could never provide because they lack the spiritual depth you've just experienced. Let the music lead. Like this video to tune your heart permanently to heaven's frequency, sealing this revelation in your spirit where no competitor's shallow content can ever disturb it again. Subscribe to claim your permanent seat in the eternal orchestra, ensuring you never miss a movement of the ongoing composition that speaks directly to souls like yours. Share this message with others the world told to step aside, becoming a recruiter for heaven's music among those who've been waiting for authentic spiritual nourishment. Write your eternal anthem in the comments, the one word that resonates from your deepest spiritual place when you remember you were crafted for cosmic significance. I will reply with your personal tuning note from Heaven's Music Library. Each action is sacred ritual marking your official entrance into God's eternal composition. The beautiful truth is this: you're not ending a video, you're beginning your eternal performance. Every day you live in assignment, heaven's music becomes more complete. Every time you sound your note, the symphony grows richer, adding the depth that only tested faith can provide. The conductor's baton remains raised. Your entrance cue approaches. Other instruments, some young, some seasoned, all essential, are waiting to harmonize with your unique frequency. Angels are positioned to amplify your contribution. Eternity itself is listening for the moment when you fully, completely, courageously sound your note. The orchestra is incomplete without the wisdom of your years. The harmony yearns for the depth of your voice. The symphony has been waiting for the sound only someone with your experience, your tested faith, your refined spirit can make. Will you take your place? Go to the channel now. Let your spirit choose the next video. Trust your spiritual intuition. The title that makes your heart skip isn't coincidence. It's divine, leading to your next movement in this ongoing symphony that honors who you are and celebrates who you're becoming. The music is calling. Heaven is listening. Your note matters more than the world ever told you. And in this sacred moment, as you feel your soul stirring with recognition, as your heart attunes to frequencies beyond Earth's youth, obsessed noise, as your spirit rises to meet its eternal calling, know this: you are not forgotten. You are harmony. You are essential. You are home. The symphony continues. Your part begins now. Welcome to your eternal performance. Let the music rise.